What's up, reVERB students? This is Joe Banks, District Youth Director here in the state of Georgia. And Pastor Chad asked me to put together a little something for you guys during these unprecedented times. And so I hope it's an encouragement and a blessing to you. You know, not too long ago, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick's Day here in America, we celebrate it by wearing green, pinching each other, eating certain foods, honestly, culturally, by getting drunk, big, huge parades, and so sadly, we've really lost who St. Patrick really was. He was one of the greatest missionaries in the history of the world, but we really don't know that. And so today I want to share with you who he was and how it can be an encouragement during these times. You know, at 16 years old, St. Patrick, he was really a rebellious Christian teenager, growing up in a Christian home and running away from the faith. His grandfather was a pastor, his dad was a deacon in the church, and he was just running away from God. And honestly, when he was 16 years old, this is crazy. He was kidnapped by pirates and he was put on a ship and sent to Ireland and sold into slavery. Imagine, some of you are 16 years old watching this. Imagine that happening to you. And so while in Ireland for the next several years, he lived in isolation, all by himself, being driven hard by a master. He was a slave. He was by himself out in the country, watching sheep and taking care of his master's sheep. And through those hard times and through that difficulty of being alone, he began to reach back out to the seeds that had been planted by his family of faith, you know, and so he would pray over 100 times a day and 100 times at night, and through that pressing time, he found the Lord once again for himself, and he got saved and began serving the Lord, and several years later after that, he heard a dream, he heard a call from the Lord that said that he had a boat waiting for Patrick 200 miles away. And so he needed to get up and go. And so that's what he did. He got up and he secretly snuck out of his master where he kept him and walked 200 miles. And when he got to the place God told him to go, there was a boat there waiting on him, and they were out of food. And so Patrick prayed, and then out came a herd of pigs come running into the ship. And so they got on the ship and they took him back home. He was rescued. He was saved. And so he got home and he immediately enrolled in a Bible school, in a seminary, began to learn the Bible, learn theology, how to become a pastor. And then he became a pastor upon graduation. And after several years, he just began to hear the call of the Lord, and to a point where the Lord is very clear to him, something crazy. And God told him to sell everything that he had, get on a ship, and go back to the land of the people that enslaved him, the people that kidnapped him, and reach them for Jesus. And so Patrick, he listened. He sold everything that he had. He bought a one-way ticket on a ship back to Ireland. And Ireland was known, the church had really given up on Ireland. It was the barbarians, and just absolutely chaos was over there, ruled by clans. There's really no cities, nothing like that. And so he went. And as he went, he began to proclaim the name of Jesus all over Ireland, to where over 30 to 40 clans out of 150 became known for following Jesus. And so it's just amazing that Patrick, he would go back to someone that enslaved him, that treated him so badly, because of the compassion that Jesus had on his life. And so really, I want to encourage you today that really Ireland was changed for Jesus, born out of isolation, born out of a man who was all alone. He had nothing. He had no one. It was hard times, but yet he found God. And so during these crazy times where really you've been stripped away from everything normal, right? You've been stripped away from hearing different things that you have in your life. You've been stripped away from sports. You've been stripped away from school. You've been stripped away from really getting out of the house and going where you want. And so in that isolation, in that everything being taken away, let me encourage you, find the Lord. Find the Lord during this time, hear from the Lord, pursue the Lord, and really figure out what you're passionate about in following the Lord during these times, and allow him to speak to you, because he will. He will speak to you. And so you never know what can happen through this isolation, through this time alone. But if you give it to the Lord, pursue him, amazing things can happen on the other side. And so we love you guys. We're praying for you. Seek the Lord during this time. We believe that God has amazing things on the other side of this unprecedented time for reVERB Student Ministries. Love you guys. Hopefully to see you soon.